Bang to the gang, you hear me? Faithful Boys, P Warrior, Benjamin S. Uh, y'all know this 49 Sports Talk, kind of in our off season, I guess, breakdown, preview, et cetera, et cetera. But uh, first off, y'all know one thing. Our motto is we bang that we can't no more. You feel me? And that is to infinity and beyond. You know what I'm saying? Me and Big Bro. Blessed to get back in the saddle with y'all. Like I say, off season, a lot to talk about as we prepare for the quest for six. We still trying to get them. Hopefully, this our year coming in optimistic. Now, bro, before we hopped on, you was telling me you was getting caught up on some of the presses. I was doing the same. So we definitely
True that.
gonna talk about some of this John Lynch commentary, as well as a couple of players off the offense. Notably Trent Williams got a lot, kind of going on with him, as far as speculations on his contract possibly being released, them working out some sort of extension. So let's get into it, bro. You say you saw some of John Lynch. What exactly did you see? And we can kind of, get into it from there.
Well, basically, I saw the full press conference, and he gave a lot of insight into the Trent Williams deal that they working on negotiating a contract. And David Lombardi, who I follow out of all of the beat writers on the 49, really is the best one. He break it down in detail. They're gonna try to extend the contract to lower the base salary, going forward. So they're not trying to lose Trent Williams. Everybody was talking about he gonna be released. They're not gonna release Trent Williams. They need him. They don't have no viable replacement for him at this point. You know what I'm
Real.
saying? And he's still playing at all pro level at the age of 38. So they ain't gonna release him. They just gotta find a way in the contract to extend it to where it's affordable for them, but it's also gonna meet what he looking for. So it's kind of like meeting in the middle. So he talked about that. So I'm confident, that he gonna get it. They don't get it done. Trent Williams want to be with the 49. They ain't like he trying to leave. The man want his money. He well deserving of the money. You know what I'm saying? Playing and still playing the way he playing. Then he talked about, the
Uh,
situation. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, you're good. You froze up for a minute. You back.
Okay, so yeah, so they talked about that. Then, he talked about, you know, uh the wide receiver position, that they have in-house candidates, Watkins and the other boy, I'm forgetting his name, who
Cowan and Pearsall.
Kyle, yeah, and Pearsall, that they have the in-house candidates, and stuff like that, that they got to take a step forward. Mainly, we know Pearsall is proven as far as ability. It's just availability with him, staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, we know he'll produce.
Absolutely.
Now Kyle, he ain't been available to do nothing. So he got to get out there to be able to do something. And then Watkins is the same thing.
I'm gonna
You
you
was a
pause
rookie last year. Okay.
Nah, nah, no, I'm with you. I was about to piggyback off what you're saying with the availability. It seemed like really between Pearsall and Kyle, and that's the main thing. Now, like you said, Pearsall definitely more proven. He didn't actually been on the field and made a couple plays. Kyle is all potential or speculation, more or less. But at the end of the day, shit, neither one of y'all could, what I'm saying, really stay healthy. So as for every team, that's going to be, real big for us, especially with these young players who really need reps.
Yeah, I agree. And so, he talked about that. And they also talked about adding in free agency and in the draft. So they're gonna add in free agency in the draft, and then you got the factor of Jawan Jennings, being a free agent, but probably gonna get a contract that's beyond what the 49ers want to pay. So to me, you gotta have a combination of what you already
We was
have
talking
versus
about
what
the
you want.
wide receivers.
Yeah. You
Hold
gotta
on.
have a combination of
It might be,
yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, on my end, you're freezing, but it could be my end. I'm not sure. So, just we just working with
Yeah.
it, bro, because I've been having a little problems. I'm at to kind of see what's going
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, like I was saying, it's gonna be a combination of who they have in house and what they're gonna bring in, whether it's the draft or the free agency. And so we know they're gonna add because they gotta add, they gotta improve that area with more playmakers, more speed, to give Purdy more weapons out there, especially with them not having George Kittle. And then they talked about Brandon Ayuk briefly, and more or less what he said was that semantics. They probably gonna release him at the beginning of the league year, which is on the 13th of March. So we know Brandon Ayuk is gone. We ain't missing. Uh, and
Well, let me
so
ask you
wish him
this,
the best.
dog.
Wish
When
him
he
the best. Hope everything work out. But yeah, you know
Nah, I'm with you. I ain't hate. Well, I'm not hating on Brandon. Go do your thing, bro. It didn't work out. It is what it is. It's not the first
exactly.
or the last time. But Troy, when he talked about Pearsall and all those guys, he also said something that I thought was interesting, and I'm this kind of me, I guess, reading what I feel is between the lines, and then coupling that with chatter that I've heard on the internet. He had talked about Jawan Jennings, right? He talked about Pearsall and Cowan, and Watkins, like you said. But he also said we might bring back some players that we already had. And I thought, are they talking about Debo? Because we've heard a little bit through the grapevine that Debo might want to come back. Certain players kind of been lobbying for Debo to come back, allegedly. So when I heard that, I thought, bring back players, huh? And in my opinion, we not really talking about Jawan. Though they talking about, yeah, we negotiating. To me, we kind of know that ship done sailed, or at least that's the speculation. So I feel like that's more about Debo, because who else is you bringing back? Especially, and we talking about wide receivers. Now, could be a lot of players, but how would you feel about old Debo making a return to the ball club?
I really don't want Debo back. Honestly, I think he was a great player when he was healthy and in his prime, and he didn't have the weight issues. But he ain't do nothing in Washington. So really, we stole draft picks from Washington for a year of him not really producing for them, but he was hurt. Now, obviously, okay, they bring him back. What role will he have? Will it be similar? Will it be different? He ain't the same player he was when he was drafted years ago. You know what I'm saying? And everybody kind of know what type of player he is. So what is he gonna add? Now, David Lombardi talked about Mike Evans. We need a big physical receiver. Mike Evans is still is a good player. He's been in the league a long time, but he produced. Now he got hurt last year, but that would be somebody I would think they would bring in. A veteran that's proven, won a Super Bowl with Brady. They need a big body receiver. They gotta have, to me, you gotta have a little bit of everything. Because you gotta think about the division you're playing in. You're playing against Seattle, who got these long corners. The good skin. You gotta have a receiver we need threats out there. We need people that's gonna threaten them. That's why they beat us. We didn't have no threats. Okay, they could play the cover too and come with the pressure because Purdy didn't have nobody to throw to. He had nobody to stretch the defense, had nobody to get open. You know what I'm saying? Now, is Mike Evans a burner? No, but he's a threat. He's proven. You got to respect it. You got to honor it. If they can get a couple playmakers to go with what they have and these boys step up, then you got weapons for to be able to go against what their defense gonna bring. And so Debo to me ain't doing nothing to move the needle. You know what I'm saying? So obviously they're gonna draft some young guys. We know that. At least maybe one or two receivers. Whether it's the first round, we know they're gonna do it in the draft. Okay. They're gonna bring maybe one or two guys in free agency. To me, man, if there's a Mike Evans out there, or I think I had seen something on one of these other reporters was saying go get the boy from the Colts. Not the Pierce boy, but there's another dude out there that the other receiver that's really good. I forget his name. But man, you got to get somebody. And then do have some free agents out there that's good. They got the boy from Green Bay, who Romeo Dobbs, who a
I
lot of people
like
been
that.
talking about.
I like
You know
that.
what I'm saying? So to me, y'all got to get somebody that y'all got to get playmakers. Y'all got to get threats because against Seattle and against the defense they playing, you got to have people that's gonna make plays on offense. We know Purdy can slice and dice them if number one, if you got protection, but if you got weapons. When we was beating them before McDonald came there, we had the weapons to go against their defense. Obviously, they didn't have the defense that he had before he got there, But when you got the Kittles of the world, and when you had Ayuk and you had Debo and you had McCaffrey and you had all of these weapons, and the line was good, we were slicing and dicing Seattle. And Seattle can be beat. We saw what the Rams do. The Rams scored against them. So it ain't like they can't be scored upon. It ain't like you can't move the ball and make plays against them, but you got to have the line and you got to have the playmakers. We don't have the playmakers to beat them right now. And they know that. And so that's what you got to go out and do. You got to get the playmakers to go against them.
All right. So I agree with you on the Debo aspect. I feel like the ship done sailed, and let it continue to sail. Blow down went to win. You feel me? Mike Evans, I get it, and I wouldn't totally frown on it because I understand what you're saying. As far as a legitimate threat, proven, gotta respect them. At the same time, we all know your best days behind you. Now, could you still make plays and I guess improve the roster? Yeah, but to a certain degree, no shade to him is not saying much. Damn near anybody you bring in to a certain degree gonna improve the roster. And I'm not sure at this age, though, Seattle not necessarily a press man team, tight coverage. I don't like, to me, the tight windows and Brock Purdy, I'm still not sold on him being that type of quarterback. You feel me? I feel ultimately we need burners to garner some respect from people's secondaries and shit. Like all the deep crosses and deep ends, all basketball in the playoffs, when shit get tighter and more compressed, those windows not there. Not to mention we scheming on another level, so we taking some of that shit away. You feel me? So I need you to be able to do what we haven't been able to do, arguably, since Shanahan has been there. Stretch the field. You feel me? Like, could we get a legitimate threat, like you saying about Mike Evans, to stretch the field, which will in turn open up all the shit that you love to do anyway. But to me, till we get a legitimate threat that could stretch the field, we kind of playing the same game. Like this when we have the insanity conversation. Like we doing the same shit, expecting different results, but we not doing nothing different. The McCaffrey shit is getting old. How much longer can we ride him? Kittle is getting old. Like you're right to mention this young crop of players that you have who need time, who need to develop, who haven't got on the field because they can't stay healthy enough. Ultimately, bro, like we behind the 8 ball and we need to get around the curve. But I just think we need to add some more speed to the team. And if one of these young guys is it, hopefully he's able to show that. But until then, I'm gonna keep saying we need some speed to actually stretch the field.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, and I think that's where they got to hit with the draft picks. And this is supposed to be a really good receiver draft. I've been hearing about the boy from Texas A&M, Concepcion, who I've seen play. He's really good. They need players that have the size and the speed to be able to get to beat coverage, but also be able to get downfield and run out the catch, type things too. And
Yeah,
then
like
with McCaffrey, a lot of people have been talking about converting him to a receiver. You know what I'm saying? And because you can't expect him to carry the ball 400 to get to 400 touches again and not, physically break down. And that's where I similar to what they did last year defensively. I'm not saying that every draft pick's is gonna be offense, because obviously it won't be. But they have got to infuse more youth in the offense. But you gotta play the people. And see, this is the thing. Like, what y'all doing with Garendo? Like, what are y'all doing with Isaac Garendo? You know what I'm saying? What are
he
y'all
need to
doing
be
with
the
him?
new juice.
Yeah, like, what are y'all doing with him? To be a factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on with him? Like, talking about. That's what y'all need to do too. Y'all need to figure out what y'all gonna do with him. He ain't play at all out there. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's real. Like I'm with you, bro. I definitely feel like offensively, and we need a like we need some real athletes out that comes per youth, like you're saying. Like we need a youth infusion at the skill positions, as well as a couple others on the team. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we need a couple guys that could have the potential to wow you. You feel me? Like, don't get
Yeah,
me wrong, I love Shanahan. Oh, he a guru, scheme it open. Scheme. I love the scheme. But what he said about the quarterback that he needed, that ultimately they reneged on, in my opinion, but it still stands across the board. You need players who can play behind the X's and the O's. You see what I'm saying? We need some players who can play behind the scheme. Scheme me open, great. But once I get open, I have that wow factor. We don't have,
yeah,
uh, and like you saying with McCaffrey, convert him to receiver. Maybe on third down, we already know he a primary receiver, so you don't really have to convert him. To your credit, you just have to play some of the other guys where he not having all the wear and tear on him, doing all the grunt work and shit. You feel me?
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like you gotta get to the place to where, um, it's the it's y'all got to run Jordan James. Y'all got, like I say, y'all got Garendo, who y'all didn't even play last year hardly. It's like y'all, like Shannon, you got all this speed. Y'all was talking about maybe converting him to like an H back or being like a use check type or whatever. What you call it, tight end thing. I'm forgetting
Mm-hmm.
what y'all call it, type of thing. So it's just, yeah, it's just like I said, they gotta infuse some youth into the offense. They gotta infuse more talent, more speed. You know what I'm saying? But then this is where they got hit with the draft picks. And if y'all is gonna bring in somebody in free agency, it's got to be somebody who gonna be able to make an impact. Because like I said, y'all ain't beating Seattle presently with what y'all have. Y'all ain't. You just not doing it. Not against their defense. And then defensively, like I said, they're gonna get Bosa back because Lynch talked about getting Bosa back, and Michael Williams and the boy that got shot by Lil Baby. All of these players is on track to be back for the training camp. So we know defensively they're gonna be good. He talked about Raheem Morris, and they're excited about Raheem Morris. I am too, because I think it's gonna be multiple defensive looks that we gonna see. It ain't gonna be that just base 4 down, stuff that they've been doing. It's gonna
Well,
be
Demo
multiple
might travel.
defenses.
Shit, that might help. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then they brought in Jerry Gray, who was going to be the secondary coach. And Jerry Gray played when we was growing up, and he was an All-Pro player, and he didn't coach a lot of Pro Bowl corners. And so that's going to be good. And I think they got rid of Bullock because Bullock ain't impressed me at all. Because
Mm-mm.
you got some talent back there. You got Mustafa, you got Brown at the safety, you got the other boy that they drafted, Sigler, at the safety position.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the corners. You got the Demo, you got Stout, you got Green. You got to get something. You got to get more out of these boys than what you was getting. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it ain't so much the players; it's the coaching. Better coaching can uh
Yeah,
get
unlock something.
can unlock something. So I like that pickup, and stuff like that. So they brought in good defensive coordinator to replace Solid. They brought in a better secondary coach than they didn't had, and now, not saying that they ain't gonna add in the draft and in free agency, undrafted free agency with those positions, but if we can elevate and get the most out of some of these players who we know got talent with better coaching, that will make a difference too. But they're gonna
Hey,
draft
what you think about
defense.
Max Crosby?
Well, they talking about 2 first-round picks and a premium player. You can't afford to give up the draft picks
Not mine.
to me. You know
Not
what I'm saying?
mine.
Not saying he ain't a great player, but come on. That's
Too
why y'all
much
drafted
at
Michael
his age
Williams.
too. Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
can't
y'all.
do
That's
it.
why y'all drafted Michael Williams to be the end opposite of Bosa, to ultimately be good against the run, but to unlock the pass rush. And any younger and any cheaper. Then to me, y'all need one great player ain't gonna solve it all. Y'all still need depth
Yeah,
behind them. You know
that's
what I'm
real.
saying? So to me, y'all need to do what y'all been doing. Y'all gotta draft and bring somebody in free agency wise, so you can have a rotation of players. Because one, like I say, yeah, him and Bosa together will be awesome. You couldn't double team one and leave the other free, so you would be single blocking. But what if one of them get hurt? Then you still stuck where you were stuck. So to me, you got to have depth, man. Just go ahead and draft some young players, bring in some, maybe 1 or 2 little free agents, draft these boys, and then go ahead and get a rotation in there. Because I think they're solid inside. They got they got CJ West, they got the boy from Texas, and then they got the other person. So they looking good as far as young players inside. You just got to keep adding. And then a linebacker, you're going to get Fred Warner back. But then you need to add more speed there because they haven't had speed. Now, Nick Martin, you don't know if he's going to be healthy or not because he was in concussion protocol for forever. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it like that too, as far as what, he going to do. So they got to add a lot still, you know what I'm saying, to what they have. And then, I know Lombardi was talking about Mac Jones. They want to keep Mac Jones. The only way they trade Mac Jones is if they're getting a first or second round pick, and then they don't have to be a high second round pick, and it can't be no low second round pick. They're gonna hold on to Mac Jones, which makes sense because if God forbid Purdy get hurt, you'd be stuck without no quarterback. Now Kirk Cousins is out there, and Atlanta's supposed to release him. So if he get released and they trade Mac Jones, and I ain't got no problem with them rolling with Kirk Cousins. He proven he done won games in the league before. You know what I'm saying? So, I got faith in Shanahan and them ability to develop quarterbacks because they have. Even shit. They look at what they did with Sam Darnold. You see what I'm saying? Look what they had did with I don't know. They had the quarterback before Sam Darnold, whoever that was. I can't remember. But they didn't did good with that. So to me, it's yeah. So to me, yeah. So like I said, they gotta add free agency, and then they're gonna have the cap space to do it now. Now where they didn't have it in the past.
Too. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're gonna have more. They're gonna have more cap space than they did in the past to be able to. Well, last year, because they had to let a lot of people go because they had enrolled that wave of, getting to the Super Bowl and all of these different things. But now they're going to have the ability to go out there and get a free agent, but they ain't going to overspend. They usually do well with getting free agents for good prices. And then they're going to have to add a tight end. They should have never brought in the one tight end that they had, that boy that they got from Jacksonville. He was trash, and they need to let what's his name play more. Tonjes is really can take over for Kittle. You know what I'm saying? Down the line, even the ones Kittle, whatever. To me, Tonjes is the one that they need to be.
Like he could be the replacement for sure.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? They need to go ahead and get him more things. And see this, and that's the thing that burns me with Shanahan is like, bro, y'all drafting these people, then y'all ain't playing them.
Yeah,
you feel me? Y'all gotta play these people, man. Play them. Like now, this is the first year, really. I think since before they got good and was getting to the Super Bowl that they actually started playing these people. You see what I'm saying? And you got to continue to play these people, man. You got to continue to play them. That way they can develop. Like I say, so because your core players, that window is kind of closed in a sense because you didn't tapped out on Kittle. Kittle and the man, these boys didn't give you everything. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got to, go ahead and excuse me, y'all got to go ahead and be about developing the next group of people. Now you had to turn over your defense because your defense lost a lot and then it got old. Well, it's the same thing on offense. They said age-wise, we had like the oldest offense in the league. As far as players playing, and so you got to infuse youth into it now. To get it back to what it was. Or to start new. So hopefully y'all can draft people that's number one gonna stay healthy, but then number two could be a threat. But like I say, to me, y'all got to do a combination of the two. Y'all gotta look at some free agents, and y'all gotta look at some draft choices. Because right now they got 7 draft choices, and he was saying, they don't know. Well, it could be more. Once they do the compensatory stuff, and stuff like that. Because they lost a lot of players, and a lot of players got playing time, so they might get 1 or 2 picks, compensatory picks. So it might go from 7 to 9, maybe 10. Last year they had 11. They need all the draft picks they can get. You know, they do pretty well with the undrafted free agents. So I got confidence they're gonna bring in some undrafted free agents too that will be able to produce, and then they got to sprinkle in some free agents, and then the players that y'all got sitting on your roster who y'all counting on to take the next step, they got to take the next step. Because in a division we playing with Seattle, we playing with the Rams. We got to be competitive, which we know we can beat them because we beat them last year. You know what I'm saying? And then for once, if they can stay healthy for a full year, we could do something. You know what I'm saying? If everybody stay healthy, then we could really, do something. So, like I say, to me, we're gonna find out what it's gonna be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, brother, shit. Man, y'all make sure y'all tap in with us on Fridays. We're gonna start hitting y'all off as we continue to just build throughout the off season. Definitely gonna see what's going on with these compensatory picks. Next week, bro. Let's talk about your boy who they hired, Kwesi Mensah, who I believe was with the organization. Went to the Vikings. Now he back. And start walking out, the combine and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then we need to touch the defense a little bit too. So plenty of work and stuff to discuss.
Yep.
But shit, man, let's get ready to slide out the door. Again, y'all make sure y'all tap that like button, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And any questions or y'all want to comment, hit the chat box. We definitely about getting back at y'all. And like we said, man, it's bang bang till we can't bang no more, baby. It's the Faithful Boys, P Warrior _9. Y'all already know me, man. Just holler at me when you see me, you know what I'm saying? And we catch y'all next week.
Bang.